So I'm here today with Jane Thomas, and Jane is Limra's breeder. This is a really important conversation to me because I really value well-bred horses, and I feel like the best horses that I know are oftentimes the result of a lot of people really caring deeply about the choices that are made along the way to that horse's creation. And then also years of careful nurturing, developing that horse so that they're ready to start the training process. So I wanted to talk to Jane today kind of about what that whole process has been that has led to the horse that we're using for our Bridleless start. So Jane, I was just thinking back, how many years have we known each other?
Oh, wow. You were very young.
It was.
How old were you when you were first started working with Gumar and I met you?
It must have been like 8, 9, 10, something like that.
You were a youngster.
Yeah, so we first met each other a while back. Yeah. I was a kiddo. And partly because of that, you were in Icelandics and had been for a while when I first met you. I feel like you had already started your journey. So how did you get into Icelandics? When did you first discover the Icelandic horse?
I discovered the Icelandic horse at the expo that they had in Louisville at the time. It wasn't called the Equine Fair. I can't remember exactly.
It might have been an Equitana or
something like that, yeah. And I went with a friend looking for Pasafinos, and that's when we met Gumar and the Icelandic horses. Gotcha. And at that time, I didn't have property or anything, and they got involved with purchasing a few Icelandics, and sort of got to know them. And then Gumar, fortunately, lived right here in Louisville, so it was real easy to, when he would come back and forth to Iceland, to go out and get involved with the horses. And I originally purchased just a horse. My friend got one as a youngster and kept it up in Southern Illinois, actually. Okay. So it was kind of an odd thing before I actually got involved with my own thing. When we actually moved to Shelbyville, got some property there.
Gotcha. So at some point in that process, you got interested in breeding, right? So they started out as a riding horse. At what point did you decide or kind of make that transition to really caring about the breeding side of things?
Okay. Well, I bred soft-coated Wheaten Terrier dogs for about almost 20 years. And so that bug for breeding and putting together conformation and looking at dogs, I took that very seriously. I would take the track to Philadelphia once a year to our specialty, where you got to see the very best terriers in the country, some in the world. And so that probably precipitated a lot of it. And then fortunately, my daughter at the time was riding a little bit, and the more you learn about a breed, you understand more about the good ones and what to look for and things. And so that's when Gumar had Limra's mother on the market. That's right. And was in the market, to buy a horse, but then also interested in maybe one with the breeding qualities that I wanted. And so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's really neat. So Limra's mother is kind of a direct part of this journey in that sense. Yes. You've bred quite a few horses. One of your horses is our main lesson horse, for example, here at Doctor. Yeah. And we've worked together quite a bit on the training and the sales of a variety of your horses from your breeding. What are some of your primary goals as a breeder? What are you looking to breed?
Well, I hesitate to even call myself a quote breeder, because I've just bred. I did have a mare that was primarily Madeline's horse. She was a second prize mare, I think, but wonderful temperament, great horse. And that's the mare that Fletcher came out of. And here again, repeated that temperament and easygoing quality. So as a breeder of dogs and as a quote breeder of horses, I guess, temperament is always first, because any animal has to be first a companion and a someone that you have to live with as opposed to just their characters. And the ideal is you breed both. You know,
Yes.
you look for I look for temperament and making sure that's there, or it's and breeding is not will not be done. And then you try to pair the characteristics that your horse needs to improve on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'd say, at least just from my experience, you've been pretty successful in this. Like, one of your first horses you bred is a lesson horse now, and all of the other ones have proven to have that good character trait when we've worked them through training. They all vary and are all unique individuals for sure, but as a whole, they've all been very easygoing, calm, confident, but cooperative characters. Let's talk a little bit more about Luva, which is Limra's mother. And you mentioned that you purchased her from Guðmar. And she's kind of a neat horse because she's under Hrynjandi, who's an honor prize stallion, and actually died relatively early. So he doesn't have a lot of offspring, but very, very well-known, famous stallion. And then also Rakel from Hárlaugstöðum, and Rakel was a very nice quality mare imported by Pam from Destiny Farms. So Luva is actually from Destiny Farms, so she's an American bred horse, which I love this sort of thing. It's kind of neat that Limra is actually a second generation American bred horse. So she's from two very quality horses from Iceland, and then her mother was American born, not bred, because they were bred in Iceland. Right. And then, Limra's kind of that second generation. But can you talk a little bit more about Luva and what she's meant to you and kind of her story?
Well, at the time, that I purchased Luva, I really had ambition for her to really be evaluated and everything. And unfortunately, financially, we were hit with the recession of 2008, which sort of set me back with that. Guðmar did start her and was trained by him some, and he was at the time very excited about her. But then, unfortunately, she didn't get her journey of really seeing what she was as a young horse, as far as with being evaluated and everything. And sometimes, in dogs, that's kind of a thing that getting their championship is part of the road you take as the proving ground for them to be a worthy breedable horse. But I felt like with Luva, with her breeding and just the qualities we saw in her and everything, she was worthy to be bred. And then having my proximity to you, Miss Carrie, who is such a wonderful trainer and has brought some of the best stallions here in Kentucky. I probably would not have bred her the number of times that I did, but we were able to, or I was able to breed to some stallions that were especially from the West Coast and areas that we would perhaps not have had here in Kentucky. And that situation of having those top stallions as a breeding companion is probably what drove me to breed her as many times as I did.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really important. There's so many decisions that go into that choice to breed, and Luva definitely had the pedigree to breed. And as you mentioned, she didn't really get to follow through on all of her training to prove herself. But the flip side of that coin is you very, very systematically bred her to top stallions that both had pedigrees and were very proven. So,
and she wasn't able to be bred. I didn't get to breed her and get in a position where I could actually do it till she was 13.
Yes.
So she was bred late and had some apprehension at first of whether she'd be breedable, but that was not an issue with her at all. She easily got in foal and had easy births and things.
Yeah, so Limra is her final foal.
Yeah.
Right? So she's had a total of four offspring.
Yeah. Well, actually, counting the one that she was leased once would have made the fifth one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So she's had 5 offspring in total. She was bred to all first prize offspring. The oldest offspring has sold. Yep. And we have some other ones in training, and some aren't old enough yet. Limra is the youngest that you own.
Yes,
as you said,
she was
you did.
bred one more time after Limra.
Correct, correct. So Limra is the youngest that you own. Of all the siblings, does Limra stand out to you?
She is, I consider, my best. And it's kind of unusual, you are so excited to see that first foal when you hear that she's on the ground. And she wasn't bred at my farm where I now live, and so I had to rush to see her. And I looked at her and I thought, ugh, she's unusual looking. She didn't have the blaze like her mother has and has reproduced in most all the other breedings. Yeah. And so she was an all red horse, leggy, and just, kind of like the ugly duckling, I thought at first. But then as I was around her more and saw, I got to see, that length of neck, some of the characteristics that I wanted to breed in the horse.
And wanted to see. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah, I kind of remember you saying that too. You calling me up or sending me photos going like, this one is the most beautiful. Yeah. But then later on, a couple days in, she was probably our top favorite in regards
to seeing the qualities that she had.
Yeah, just her conformation and the way she moves, and it got really exciting.
Well, I've always been, especially in dogs, neck set and just that overall outline and conformation was always something that I strive for in my dogs, and I find that in my horses too, that I want to see that carriage and how they carry themselves and that length of neck and arch. Yeah. And that showed up early on with her.
Yeah, no, she does have that kind of presence about her, and always has, except for maybe those first, first 24 hours.
First reaction is quite different.
Limra has now been at your farm for several years, and you have a small farm where you keep your horses and are raising your horses. What have been some of your just impressions of her over the past couple of years, her temperament and how she's been to have around?
Yeah. Well, she definitely has that spirit about her that you look for in horses that you want to, as I did in dogs, you look for that just confidence in the way they are. Sometimes it can be frustrating to deal with them, and they have minds of their own. But I've also seen her really settle in as she's gotten to be, closer to 4 now, to where she's really just pretty easy. Sometimes she has her little set ways, but overall, she's real sweet. My grandkids are living with me now, so I've got from a 3-year-old to 7-year-old, and they just can pet her, and she's inquisitive, comes to them. I don't know. I guess in conformation, she's definitely, I feel like, the best. But then also something about her temperament is still kind of my favorite too.
She does have quite a big personality, right? She's very dynamic in how she interacts with the world. My final question: what does the name Limra mean? Do you remember?
It was your name, remember?
It was my name.
I was searching for names, and I had my list, and you brought that up, and I have it written down somewhere, but at the top of my head, I can't remember. You tell me, Gary.
So I was actually looking this up. It's Limerick, which I just think is kind of unique and special, and an even more pseudonym when we're kind of starting this journey into who knows what. Yeah. So Jane has obviously agreed to let me use Limra for this adventure, and that's kind of big because we don't really know what's going to happen. Yeah. I've never done this before. This has never been done with an Icelandic horse before. We've never tried to train the gaits like this, so this is new territory for all of us. And so you've decided to subject this limerick of a young mare to my crazy dreams here. Yeah, I really appreciate you being willing to jump off the cliff with me on this. What were your first thoughts when I came to you with this idea?
Well, I have total trust in you, Carrie, and you know that, and your judgment. Like I said, I've watched you grow up in the year and your journey through the Icelandic. community and the respect that you hold for a lot. And so I trust you. I'm getting up in years. I don't ride as much as I wish I could. I'm in my 70s now. And this is kind of keeps me into the journey with the Icelandic's involvement through this horse. And it's kind of a frustration, but also unique too with the Icelandic. We train them later. Yes. And so it is a longer journey to see what do we have in this package of a horse. You see, you can visually see some things just in the field, but it's not like when they're actually trained, how they're going to react, what they're going to do. And so I don't know. I'm just along for the ride to see what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll tack ourselves and move in the bridle direction if we have to. But I'm not worried about that at all. I just think, let's go for it.
Well, I love that. Lightens the pressure a little bit, maybe.
Yes. Uneasy.
But thank you so much for being willing to be interviewed today. Yeah. And we'll maybe do another one as we go further into this process.
These horses are special, and you're special, Carrie, and we'll just see where it leads us.
One day at a time.
That's absolutely.